looking around Belfast and I was like, I don't see nobody that looks like me. It took me a while before I wanted to pursue a career in the arts because I just genuinely did not think it was something that was possible for someone like me at all. I also wouldn't take back any of the adversity that I went through because I'm really happy with who I am now. And I really believe that all them experiences made me to be the person who I am today. And that is someone who is very culturally proud and confident and secure. I can't see the road ahead, which is very scary, but also I've tried to turn that into excitement. Sometimes people say you think you're anxious. That's just your body has excess energy. It doesn't know what to do with it. You can turn that excess energy into something else. I'm Angel Arutura. I'm a plethora of things, but more notably a DJ, a content creator. I'm also a speaker and a writer, but like I'll go more heavily on the DJ and content creator, a bit of a wellness fanatic as well. So that's probably the purpose of this conversation too. But yeah, it's kind of a bit about me. I'm also founder of Mutuals HQ, which is an events platform as well, where we work with like different brands, host events, host nights. And yeah, that's kind of a bit about me.
The CV's long. CV's long, age.
It's actually longer, but I just have to stop it. I'm like, let's just stick to the most important things.
When did music first come into your life then? Let's start with the DJ part of what you do here, because I think anybody that follows you on social would have seen you playing like sick nights, big events, like corporates, and also like places that you've dreamt of playing in the past. But take me all the way back to when you remember like music first being a thing that you were like, oh, like I love this, man.
My earliest memory of music is my dad is a hip hop instructor, or like was back in the day. He used to teach like breakdance. So that's why if you come to any of my sets, it's going to be hip hop. It's going to be about 70% hip hop, R&B, that kind of vibe, because that's just so nostalgic for me. And I have so many like amazing memories of like my childhood. And I had a bit of a difficult childhood in terms of growing up in Belfast, just because the demographic, there wasn't that many people that looked like me. So I never felt like I fit in anywhere. But the one place where I felt connected to my culture, the one place that I felt like me was listening to music, listening to hip hop, going to dance class with my dad and my sister, listening to music in the car. When I think about my earliest memory of like a CD, like actually like listening to like, or thinking like, what was my favorite song when I was younger? Like I used to love like the Black Eyed Peas, This Is the End record. And like we used to play that in the car. I know we had a Neo, like Year of the Gentleman. We had Neo Year of the Gentleman. We had my dad, because he was like a dance instructor and obviously he had to play music at his gigs. I think he burned a lot of music on the CDs. So we had just had like a bunch of random CDs of like, just play track 7 and it's like a Chris Brown song or something. But yeah, that was my earliest memory of music, like definitely just in like dance class. And then as well, because my earliest memory of music was also associated with rhythm and like and listening to like the beat as well. Like as a dancer, you listen to the 1-2, like the drum pattern. Like you don't dance to the lyrics, you're dancing to the beat. So to me, like rhythm and music and all these different things, all these different components that make up, I don't know, that whole experience, like that was something I was tapped into from such a young age. And then I started playing violin when I was like 7 years old. So you go down the more classical route, and I played violin until I was about like 15, I want to say. Then I stopped that. But I still think that all helps aid like my musical ear and everything. So yeah, I guess I've always been musical. I never thought it was a career prospect until I got older. And that's just purely because of like the environment that I grew up in. But yeah, I don't know if you're going to talk about what got me into DJing yet. Or...
We'll definitely will. We'll get into that. I relate so much to the, you're saying about the random CDs and things being burnt, and it's that old school CD wallet that you open up and you're flicking through and you're like, I got no idea what any of this stuff is, but I'm going to put one in and I'm sure it's going to bang. Like that's the thing, isn't it? It was like, just take it back a little bit to when you said like growing up in Belfast and that being like a difficult time. Did it almost feel like music was a bit of an escape then at that point? Like you always had that, I would imagine, even when it was, hard and a difficult environment to be brought up in.
Yeah, like it was the one place where I felt like me. music and exercise, actually, like even leaning on that. Like I grew up very sporty. Like a lot of the times, sometimes I'm in like primary school, like 9 years old, and mom's getting us up at 5 in the morning to go to early morning swim practice. And it's like, that's just that's my conditioning. Like a lot of people ask me to this day, like, Angel, how do you go out and run in crazy weather conditions? I was like, I've been conditioned to be like this since I was a young age. But there was very few opportunities or very few spaces for me to just be able to exist and feel, I don't know, maybe a sense of calm, or I don't need to perform, which is maybe a bit ironic because whenever I did like do sports, it was competing. So I guess it's a
Yeah.
different type, but that's a different type of performance. That's not like a mental performance. Whereas if I'm going to school, if I'm going to like birthday parties, if I'm hanging with my peers, which are the people that you're spending majority of your time with in primary school and secondary school, is your peers. Um, I never really I felt like I was always having to wear a mask to be accepted. But when I'm, playing netball, if I'm on the hockey pitch, I can just be me because I can just like, I'm good at sports. So physically I can just like be me and just like enjoy that. Or like if I'm at my dad's dance class, that's like family and I'm with my sisters or my cousins, and it's like I can just exist in that space. And also like as well, I felt I could exist in that space and also feel a sense of like ties to culture as well, just because of
Yeah.
like in a really weird way. Like I know hip hop is like African American, but I've actually felt more ties to that and that kind of experience than, because there's, to me growing up, there was no Black Irish people to look to like, there was no cultural space, there was no cultural hub, there was no like creative community. So a lot of I'd say I probably growing up would have looked a lot more to. I even had like I think I developed a weird American accent at one point just because I was consuming way too
Yeah.
much American media, like American music, YouTube, TV, and it was just a bit much. But that's what, yeah, it made me feel safe, made me feel like I could just like exist. Like my motto now is I just want to be in spaces where I can exist without having to explain.
Yeah.
And if I find myself over explaining, I think I'm in the wrong space. So I just kind of hold on to look back at moments that made me feel like that growing up because there were so few. And music is definitely one of them, as well as like working out and stuff.
That's such an interesting concept to kind of exist in spaces that you feel almost seen, right? Because it must have been that for so long, you, like you said, you were wearing that mask almost, and you were trying to kind of be the person that people maybe wanted you to be and not be the person that you were, and then thinking, oh, like is I would imagine you were thinking, is this, you know, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Am I going to have to answer this question or that question? And that's exhausting as a kid, right? You shouldn't have to be dealing with that as a kid. But as you say, there was maybe nobody to look to, look at for this
Yeah.
is the blueprint, but also like there's no one there for advice, is there at that point? You're like,
Mm.
what do I do? Where do I go? Like, what road do I walk?
Like on the first point, I always say you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
I was looking around Belfast and I was like, I don't see nobody that looks like me doing. That's why it took me a while before I wanted to pursue a career in the arts, because I just genuinely did not think it was something that was possible for someone like me at all. Um, and yeah, so even people would say, but you had a sister. I have an older sister, 11 months older than me. And I'm like, but we were going through it at the
Yeah,
exact same
together.
time. Yeah, and in a weird way, like, um, it sounds quite sad, but I've healed. But I thought that the treatment towards my sister and I was like justified. We would have thought like, oh yeah, they're calling our hair dirty. Yeah, that makes sense. Like our hair is messy. Our hair is untidy. Like, yes, we do need to chemically straighten our hair to fit in with everyone around us. Yet it is weird that whenever I used to bring friends home from school, I used to ask my dad if he would not cook like Zimbabwean food. And like even I was so conditioned to like um our like national dish is called we would eat like sadza and okra. So you'd have like okra, it's like a vegetable. I would make like a little soup out of it. But it's kind of like slimy. And then you have sadza, which is like um if I can describe it properly, it kind of looks like porridge, but it's
Okay.
like a thicker consistency. But you eat it with your hands is like the whole point. And I remember when I was younger, I used to eat my sadza and okra with like a knife and fork, and my parents would just like be at the dinner table like, just get in there and
Yeah.
just eat the food. Like, and I was like, no, like I just wanted to, I hated everything about myself and which sounds sad, but I'm so healed from it. And I also wouldn't take back any of the adversity that I went through because I'm really happy of who I am now. And I really believe that um, all them experiences made me to be the person who I am today. And that is someone who is very culturally proud and confident and secure. And through being so open about sharing my journey online, I know I've helped a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
So if someone said, here's a time machine, you could go back in time and you would never have to experience anything that you experienced, I'd say no, because someone else is going to be. So,
Yeah.
and someone can, I know been so many people that have like messaged me, said they look to me to be like, well, Angel talks about this. I didn't know anyone else went through this. Thank you, Angel, for sharing this. So I'm like, I genuinely think it was within my purpose to go through that and heal from it. And also like show up and talk about it and have conversations like this to be able to not only just like make other people feel comfortable, but also like educate people too on like all that type of stuff. But yeah.
100%. And you know, there could be that little girl in Belfast right now who's feeling exactly the same and can now look towards you and
Yeah.
think, you know, oh, like, no, this is possible. No, I can pursue this, or there is opportunity for me to get into that space. Whereas, yeah, as you say, you can't be what you can't
Can't
see.
be what you
But
can't see.
now people hopefully
Mhm.
will be seeing more and more often and be seeing that, like, you can do this thing, whatever background, whatever race, whatever sexuality, like there is the ability to be the person that you want to be. And I think from your perspective, that also must be quite weird, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like you now you kind of you realize that because you're doing what you're doing,
Mhm.
but like it's always still quite weird when people are like, "Hey, by the way, I'm looking at you."
Yeah. It's weird, but it's like it's quite affirming. Like I think this can be
Yeah,
quite a lonely industry. So there's a lot of the times I'm just putting myself out there and I'm like, oh, what is this doing? Like, is this do and it kind of started when I first started showing up online and sharing anything I share online, even down to when I started sharing about my DJ. And it's genuinely just because I'm doing something that I love and I'm just putting it out there and I like try have zero expectations attached to it. And I'm just like, this is just what it is. So almost when I it was almost healing for me to show up and have these vulnerable conversations. Sometimes I feel like when I talk about this stuff, the person who I feel like I'm talking to is like my younger self. So, and actually, the person who inspired me the most is I have a little sister. She's 10 years younger than me. So, whenever she got to about the age of like 7, 8, and I started to hear her use the same phrases that I may have used when I was that age, like, Mommy, can you straighten my hair for me? I want straight hair like Lucy. I started picking up on this stuff and I was like, oh no, I don't want you to have to go through what I went through. So not only do I feel like I'm talking to my younger self, like my biggest inspiration in this entire life for anything ever that I ever do will always be my little sister. And anytime I say that, she like cringes, but like that's like my rock, honestly. I
yeah,
don't know if it'd be the same. She feels the same about me, but yeah, I always was like, I want her to feel like she can do whatever she wants to do, and like, and
yeah.
she's very, very confident, maybe a little bit like too confident, but yeah, she has the attitude. She can just like actually like do whatever, and I just love that, and I love that. I love if other people can kind of have that. But I mean, the weirdest thing about this is with the whole "you can't be what you can't see" and me kind of doing it is I feel like there's no blueprint. So I'm
Yeah,
really just like figuring things out in real time, and like every new opportunity, every new experience, I'm just like, wow, this is major, but I can't see the road ahead, which is very scary. But also, I've tried to turn that um into excitement. Like I've tried to turn that fear into excitement. And I think sometimes our body can get confused with its emotions. Like sometimes people say you think you're anxious, but you can turn that anxious in like that's just your body has excess energy. It doesn't know what to do with it. So learn to like, what do you want to do with that excess energy? You can turn that excess energy into something else. So yeah, like what did people say? Emotions are energy in motion. So it's just about
that's
like
nice.
flipping some things around and yeah, turning that fear into excitement and curiosity about the road ahead. And as I've often picture like myself walking through a forest and there's no path, but I can look back and see the like the progress I've made and like there's no path ahead, but there's been a journey and that's an exciting journey to look back on. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be excited for what's ahead. Yeah, just
I love that. And I think often in this life, like people will ask you, like, what's your 5-year plan? Like,
Mm,
what's the goal? Like, where do you want to get to? And actually, I think sometimes it's like, take a step back from that, man. Like, you don't need to scare yourself with that. All you need to deal with and worry about is like the here and now. And like,
yeah,
if you're happy and you're grinding and you're working towards a feeling rather than a thing, I think you're
completely
like,
agree.
right, you're on the right path. Whatever that 5-year plan is, or whatever's supposed to happen to you in the next 5 years will happen to you if you're true to yourself. And
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's so important because I think people get lost with, I need this house, I need this car, I need this amount of money in the bank. You're like, no, hang on, work towards what's going to fulfill you,
yeah.
and maybe you'll get there. Like, you're probably more likely to get there, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like work towards an emotion or like
Yeah.
a feeling rather than physical things. I know like 5 years ago, if you were to ask me, Angel, what's your 5-year plan? I would not have told you it would be, I don't know, like doing anything that I'm doing now. But in terms of career, but for the feeling, it's still there. Like I'm still from even when I started doing content, which was 2020, which looks like so that looks so different to what I'm doing now. I was very educational, talked a lot about social justice, talked about creativity as well, and kind of how I use that as an outlet because I was writing a lot as well. Like I used to have like most of my account used to be like infographics, so I didn't even like show up a lot online, like as myself. So I was doing a lot of like infographics, educational stuff. Again, a lot of panels like talking about the importance of racial equality, and how like culture, like cultural competence and all this type of stuff and community and how we can, you know, bridge that gap. And
Yeah.
but that was all fueled with like purpose and like a feeling of like purpose, and that's what fulfilled me. And then
Yeah.
as well, like I think one of the most important things to me is community, feeling connected to something that I felt so community and culture, like because I felt so disconnected from them two things my whole life. So through starting my Instagram, like yeah, that was maybe the occupation was like doing them like educational stuff and everything, but the emotion behind it, the feeling behind it was rooted in community and culture. If that, I don't know if I
Yeah, no, it makes
articulated
so
that
much
right.
sense because I think you said it, you nailed it there a moment ago when you said, like, paraphrasing, not the exact words, but you were, I felt so disconnected, and you basically wanted to be connected, and
Yeah.
that makes so much sense because of everything we've talked about to this point, because of the childhood, because of what you went through as somebody that was younger, getting brought up in a place where felt very like disconnected and felt like
Yeah.
you weren't really probably made to feel like that was actually your where you were supposed to be, or your
Yeah.
place or your home or your safe space. So like when you're actually then, reaching out and trying to create community and trying to create connection, that becomes that becomes a purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that is what it feels like was your purpose and is your purpose, but at
Yeah.
that time is like
Just look
that
different
that
to
was the
what it
first
is
thing,
now.
wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that. Exactly that. It just and that's the thing, that these things evolve. Like, it's not only your Instagram account evolving, it's
Yeah.
like your purpose, even though it's the same, is kind of evolving still, isn't it? Because you're
Yeah.
still doing everything that you were doing before,
And
but just add more.
I'll still talk about the stuff that I feel like
Yeah,
I need to talk
exactly.
about. So it's like
Yeah.
I tell people like I remember someone's like, "Oh, what happened to," is it like one person was maybe like, "What happened to all your activism work?" I was just like, "No, I still do what I need to do, and I'm still like politically inclined, like aligned and everything, and like I still care about all that type of stuff, but it looks different now. And even in the music space, I'm very open about being like a female DJ. Even I produce as well. There's been times where I've had certain experiences in the studio. And just like through me being a black female in them spaces, there's maybe things that people would see as like controversial or heavy and not want to talk about that because like it's just in my nature to want to talk about these things like I did back in 2020, 2021. I'm going to talk about it now in a different context. So I would go online and talk about this happened to me in the studio the other day. Female producers have to go through this. This is how we can make the industry better. So it's like my character and everything, like it's still it's
Yeah.
still like
You're
it's still
still
always me. But
you're
and
living it, aren't you?
yeah,
That's the thing. Like
so
you're living it, and I sometimes don't think. I think people go back and look at how things started, but it's like
it
it's
all makes sense. So like if you look
yeah,
at the journey and
yeah,
like a lot of
exactly.
people that I know that did even know me from that period, or like got to know me from that period of time, like they when I remember when I first introduced my audience to the fact that I was like I started DJing as a hobby first. And then it's like I think the biggest misconception that people have are like, oh, she already had about. I think the first about like 40 to 50K that I built up on Instagram was pure off of everything before, and then the 30K that I have now was just all built up from like DJing and like little bits of viral content
Yeah.
here and there in the music space. But the biggest misconception is people are like, well, she already had followers, so that's why she's doing well. And I'm like, no, no, no. Followers does not equate to real life bookings, and
No, it doesn't.
that is really probably the biggest thing I want to like I always try to tell people like, no, 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 there's so much more that goes into quote making it as a DJ. And I wouldn't even say I've made it as a DJ. I just think like I've done quite well to get to where I am. But that's work. That's not just from what I've built. But yeah, everyone whenever I did start to introduce the fact that I was DJing to my audience, I think people were just like, Angel's a cool girl. She's authentic. She's always shown up as her true self. If she wants to DJ, yeah, fun.
They're
Do you know what I
DJ.
mean?
Yeah.
DJ. But yeah, even how like through even at the start of this call when I told you about like my history with music and growing up and everything, like when I explain that to people, I think some people think it came out of nowhere, but when you hear that, you're like, that didn't come out of nowhere. That was just like it was almost just it lay dormant and something just needed to like awaken that. Um, and
I mean, it
yeah, that
makes even more sense, right? Because like the question that I asked you, like, did that feel like your safe space? It all like intermingles and makes sense because it's still in some ways your safe space. I would
yeah,
imagine, like, if you're dealing with stuff, I'm sure you still. It might not be that wallet of burnt CDs, but you're
yeah,
still banging on some music, aren't you? And you're still
yeah.
listening to what you need to listen to and being in that safe place. And I think yeah, like that just makes everything very full circle. Do you remember like that first time you actually thought, do you know what, I might have a go at this. Like I'm going to try and DJ. Like what
This
was
is
that
the
like?
funniest story, and I love telling people this story, but well, I get different reactions. During 2020, um, so it was during 2020, if I can add some context, one of my friends, he was a DJ and
Okay,
he wanted to start doing a podcast. And we actually kind of met during the time of the protests and everything. And one of my friends, Maria, as well, like the three of us kind of formed this little 3-person podcast. It was called The Blackout Show, but it wasn't anything like political. We were just like all talking. It was my first time having like black friends as well. So I was like, which some people, when I talk to people about that in London, they're like, you have a memory of the first time you had black friends. I was like,
yes,
yes,
good
I have a
point.
memory of the first time I had black friends. um, so yeah, my friends Precious and Maria, shout out to them. Yeah, we had the podcast, and Precious, because he was a DJ, he also did events. Now, because of COVID, he wasn't in the clubs, like he was not working. So he shouldn't have been doing it, but he was doing house parties. So he would Airbnb a house party, charge people tickets, and that's how he paid his rent during lockdown. So because he was doing house parties, and he was like, if you want to earn a little bit of extra cash on the side, do you want to work the door for me? So I was like, yeah, I'll work the door. And I was excited because I was like, okay, I know he told me he plays like Afro beats, hip hop. When I was out, like when I would be going out up until that point with my friends, I'm going out and I'm hearing like Dim Get It in the club.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, so there would be hip hop. Sometimes there were hip hop nights, and I mean, that may not be too like
I
Belfast
know what you
wasn't like
mean. No, I
too,
do.
but
I get. I
you know what I
totally
mean.
get it.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, more pitbull. More
So
pitbull.
yes, and I was like, yeah, like my mom, like she was in the key worker. I was a key worker, so I was like, Mom, like Precious, he's doing this. So I kind of thought she'd be weird about it, but she was like, no, like be safe, but like you need to do this to like, because I was like, yeah, I can get involved in the community more. Like I say there wasn't a black community growing up, but there was a very small like niche. There was a small, but I didn't have access to it. I didn't know it existed. Like it was very like it is a very, very small, and I think that's like technically who Precious would have thrown his parties for. So first party I went to, worked the door, And I remember it like so clearly. And he would DJ the whole night, beginning to end, like 5 hours. And I'm sober, like I don't drink. So I would just be, I'd see the progression of the night. I saw the journey of the night from when the first two people walked in through the door to when it gets, we have about like an empty room for 2 hours, and then everyone decides to turn up at the same time at 12:30, 1 o'clock for the last 2 hours. And that makes my job more difficult because I'm like, no one wanted to spread out the arrival times. I'm at the door scanning, response. But I seen the progression of the night, the warm-up set, the peak night, the cool down, the songs he was playing, and I saw how connected everybody was. And I saw how he was able to connect with other people and just that community. Like, I mean, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone there bar him. I got to know a lot of people because like you just have repeat people come into the events and everything. But I felt that was probably like one of the first time, that was probably the first time in my life where I felt, oh, I don't need to pretend to be anybody else. Like, I can just like be me. I like the
How old
music
were you then?
listening
How
to it.
old were you then?
I was 20.
That's mad.
Yeah. So this is
That's
like actually
mad.
pretty recent. Yeah. So that was like, I think because of that experience, like that, because that was obviously such like that was like a little metamorphosis for me. That was a little like moment, butterfly, caterpillar to butterfly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was just like, oh, and the more more parties I started going to, the more comfortable I got with people, the more used I got to being in environments like that as well. And just feeling that like culture and community, as I said, the two things that are the most important to me. Like, they'd always been a moment of importance, or things that were important to me, but that was the first time I was able to actually feel it. Like, I'd say I knew it was something that was important to me from when I was about 17. And that was like, I had a different type of transition then. I started watching like a bunch of Black beauty YouTubers from like America, and they'd be talking about their natural hair journey, like different ways to care for their natural hair, different protective styles. And that's what made me stop chemically straightening my hair. And from about 17, 18, 19 to 20, I would say like I grew in confidence, and I knew, like, I felt more ties to my culture and more love for the skin that I was in. But it wasn't until it was almost like all that was like prep for that first experience. Like, I was like getting me primed for, okay, you'd been doing the inner work, like a lot of inner work. Like, I was a bit of like a hermit, like a bit of a recluse for them years. Um, and yeah, that 2020 was like, okay, you've hidden away, you've done the work, like you've unconditioned a lot of the horrible things that you
Yeah.
had maybe thought about yourself all them years. And now it's time for you to actually go out into the world and, you know, eat them fruits and
Yeah,
experience that and enjoy it. And that, yeah, so watching Precious DJ, going to events was actually my first experience of that. And that's what made me want to be a DJ. I was like, yeah, which is a cool story, but
yeah, it is sick. And I think it's interesting that you say about like you had those years 17, 18, 19, 20, which is like the work behind what was to come type thing. And it almost probably would have been, if you got thrown straight into that situation at 17 before you'd been through those years, like maybe this wouldn't have happened how it has.
I don't think it would have.
No.
Like, I think I really believe everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think about like even my journey as a DJ, even like producing music and everything. I'm like, part of me is like, if I started sooner, I was like, but no, there was no conditions that set me up to, there was nothing that would have set me up to be able to feel like I could have done that sooner. Because sometimes I think, oh, if I had just learned how to produce when I was 15, 16, I didn't have the mentality of I'm not even from the city, Belfast. I live like 20 minutes outside of it in like a rural village called Ballygowan. And it's like, it's very quiet at night. There's tractors. You see more tractors than you see cars. Like, we have the countryside fields. Like, who, I, if I say I want to be a music producer, people are looking at me like,
What?
where, I don't know. Like, and even DJing, I didn't even feel like that, like, just it didn't. And a lot of people, when they first start learning how to DJ, they go to pirate studios. I don't know if you've heard of pirate studios. You've heard of
Yeah.
pirate studios? Yeah. And that's pretty like standard. Like a lot of my DJ friends in London, you go pirate studios, pay the studio time. You learn on the CDJs, which is club standard equipment. My closest pirate studios, we don't have one in Belfast. It's in Dublin, south of Ireland, 2-hour drive away. That's where the closest pirate studios was to me. So I remember I used to turn up to gigs with like a controller because that's all I had to learn on. And people would be like, you need to learn how to use CDJs. How do you not know how to use CDJs? I don't know how to use CDJs. But can I give everyone in this room a good night? I can give everyone in this room a good night. You know what I mean? Like I can use this controller. Like I think some people get pretty snobbish about like DJ equipment and stuff, but I genuinely didn't have them available to me, so I really physically could not learn. So I've always just kind of had to, what are the resources available?
Yeah,
and let's just make it work.
Do you know what? I can relate to that so much because in the same vein as you, like I started in radio when I was like 21 or something, and straight out of uni, and I'd never DJed in my life, and obviously a very different journey to the point, but then I was getting offered like opportunities locally to be like, come to this club and DJ. And I was like, I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what to do. And a couple of friends of mine were just like, just get a little tractor S4 or S2. Like, I had an S2 to start with, then I had an S4. This is like proper DJ chat. People were like, switch off now. But and I remember going to this like club in the local area, and it's like not a massive audience, but there was the resident there, and I've turned up for like this 2-hour set, like peak time with my controller on my shoulder and my laptop that I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be able to cope with like this. It might like switch off in the heat type situation. And he's like, mate, what are you doing? I'm like, can I plug this into the back of your mixer? Like, he's like, what are you doing?
I have my red and white.
And you're like,
my red and white cables. You don't learn how to use CDJs tomorrow, but you probably still give everybody a great night.
Oh yeah, like I think DJing, like
first of all,
in that scenario, like when it's like a commercial type club, right? It's so about like song selection.
Yeah,
like in my head, it's like, no, I've never been out. Occasionally, I've been out, but you know, I've never really been out and been like, this person's absolutely awful if they're playing bangers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not listening to like how they're mixing or like, does that work? Or as long as it's not offensive, you're like, are they bangers? They're bangers.
Is this a good song?
Fine.
It's a good song. I mean, there's been times I've played and the decks just have not been working.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is just, you're just dropping songs because of the equipment that you have available. But if it's moments like that, I'm like, okay, the songs, if I'm dropping songs and I can't mix, they have to be bangers. And does everybody have an amazing night? Everyone has an amazing night. So I think the whole it's a whole different conversation now. Some people might not even understand this. But laptop versus USB DJ, the controller versus CDJ DJ. This is so redundant. Can you make everyone in that room have a good night? And if you can, you've done your job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm so with you there. Like, and I think as well, like anybody that is listening to this and is thinking like, oh, do you know what? I'd love to give it a go. I would say right now, you've never had better access to be able to learn to be a DJ if you want to, because if you want to go and buy a 150 quid controller and like plug it into your laptop, you can do that and you can learn the basics. And then from the basics, if you do want to bang a load of stuff on USBs and go out and use the latest stuff, you can do that. And like, as you say, Angel, like there is access to go and learn and pay to learn and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's amazing to hear from somebody like you. Like I've done it very, very here and there throughout my life where I've had the opportunity, but from somebody like you that's like doing it as a living and making a living from it and having like it's her profession.
Yeah.
It's cool for people to hear that from you. Like it's cool for people to be like, oh my God, like maybe I could do this as well.
Yeah. I really started with like minimal resources available to me. So it's like if I'm able to figure that out, people are too. Plus everyone has advantages and disadvantages in different areas. Like I'd say play to your strengths as well. Like if you feel like, you know, if you have a pirate studios that is 10 minutes down the road, go go do that. But then if you're like me and you don't, then it's like, just use your control, just use what you have available, just use the things that you have available to you. And yeah, and it's a little bit difficult. You have to block out a lot of noise, because I like the first, like, I'd say the start of my career, I was getting clowned a bit with the controller and everything. And but then you know, yes,
Yeah.
I actually did I made the effort to do them 2-hour trips down to Dublin to practice. And then even if I was doing like a warm-up set and the CDJs were there, I was like, okay, let me just, you know, you can learn a lot on job. Like, I don't, depending on the job, like, take that with a pinch of salt. Like,
Yeah. So we're not
maybe
talking
if,
heart operations here.
and also, like, if you know you have like maybe a peak night gig, and you know, this has been situations for me where at the start, when I knew I had like a peak night gig, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna mess about in the CDJs. No, I know I can like give everyone a great set on a controller. Let me do that. But if I had like a warm up set to do, and I knew there were going to be CDJs there, I was like, okay, let me just no one's going to be there for like the first half an hour. Sometimes there's only like two people. Sometimes you only get like two people in the room, so it's like the perfect time to. And that's another thing as well. Like, a lot of people maybe think that I've always had like, I don't know, I always have like played in front of big crowds of people. Guys, I even with having followers, as I said, I had like about like 30 to 40K, and that's why I said followers don't translate to success in DJing. Like, I've DJed to many empty rooms, and they've taught me a lot, and I never felt disheartened by it, because I was like, I'm just doing what I love, so I can't complain. Like, there's still a blessing, even if there's like 15 people here or like 2 people here. Like, yeah.
And those 2 people rooms happen, but those 200 people rooms happen, those 2,000 people rooms happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I guess it's kind of,
if you're doing what you love, I think you don't even
what the job is, right?
Yeah.
What the job is.
Yeah.
I want to touch on like moving over to London, and like what that was like for you as well. Like, when was that decision made? Like, I need to hop over there for a bit.
So I actually had a little stint in London in 2023.
Okay.
2023, and I lived here for about 7 months. But I was quite like heavy in I was DJing as a hobby, but that was not making me any money. Or if it was, it'd be like going back home to maybe like do some gigs for like Precious or something. But that was nothing I advertised or offered as a service, or I didn't know. It wasn't professional. I wasn't a professional DJ at that point. It was literally just a hobby. So when I was moving to London, it was as Angel Arutura, the content creator, the activist, the educator. Like, that was who I was. And I moved to London, started going to more, obviously things had opened up more. I started going to more events, like made a lot more friends, and still I felt unfulfilled. Even though I was making great money at the time, doing that type of work, like, it was like quite lucrative. But unfortunately, I'm not someone that's driven by financial gain, which sometimes puts me at a disadvantage, because like, I really don't just do things for money. It really has to make sense to me. But I just felt unfulfilled. So yeah, I thought this is what I wanted. I wanted to move to London and and do this and go to the events and, you know, speak on these panels and do this and do that. But also, that type of work is very heavy, very taxing, very mentally taxing. And we spoke earlier, and you said that experience I had growing up must have been exhausting. And I was like, I don't want to continue to just live my life to exhaust myself.
Yeah.
And I found most of the stuff I was talking about, it's stuff I had healed from, but it was stuff I was still having to dig up to give out again. So I was like, that's why I started DJing as well, because it kind of just took me away from that. And it was just something I was able to like enjoy, and again, feel that like culture, community, connection. And that was just something for me to enjoy, but it's not something at that time that I thought I wanted to share with the world. And then, yeah, I think I just made a decision that summer. I kind of made more friends in the music space, and I think that gave me a bit more confidence to made a few more friends in the music space, started talking to more creatives, There was no creative community in Belfast. So moving to London for the first time in 2023 for about 6-7 months was like the first time that I was able to immerse myself in a creative community, talk to different people in different parts of the industries, to hear how they navigated the highs and lows, their challenges. And I definitely want to say that's what gave me the confidence to decide to pursue DJing as a career. And my friend who I was living with, her boyfriend at the time, he was the manager for. Oh, maybe no, maybe not. I was like, I don't know if they're still together. I don't know. Like, but he was the manager of a big, quite a big UK DJ, radio DJ, and I would have just a lot of conversations with her about my passions, the things I want to do. And it was a very like, we lived in I lived with like two of my friends, and they're like sisters, like, which some people can say can be a bit of a weird dynamic. Like, how do you feel like living with people that were so close, that grew up together? But I it's great. We all got along, very holistic environment. And the thing I really have to give credit to them, because they really helped me grow in confidence in. I think I'd be talking about the stuff that would bring me joy. We always spoke about our passions, and we're like three wellness babes as well. We love like we're all wellness babes, wellness girls. So we would talk a lot about the things that bring us joy, how like the things that make us feel like love and creativity and all this stuff. And just through having them conversations with my girls was really like, they're like, hey, you obviously love music. You can do it, like, and just again meeting more people, talking to more people in the industry. I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do. I'm definitely gonna have to take a step back from the work I'm currently doing. Definitely won't be able to comfortably. If I could have stayed in London, but it would have been the weirdest transition ever, because obviously to live in London, you need to make a bit more money than if I was to live with my parents. So it was like, if I said to myself, if I just move back home and just have that bit of like a security blanket, I'll feel a bit more, I don't know if confidence is the right word, but I'll feel safer about trying to pursue this. And if it doesn't work, it's not as big of a hit than if I'm to try force myself to make it work while currently living in London. So I told myself that summer, I said, okay, I'm going to move back home. I'm going to really go all in on the DJing side of things, and gonna go all in. And then I'm only gonna move back to London whenever I can confidently walk into a room and say, hi, my name's Angel, I'm a DJ. So I said that, and I spoke to the girls about it, moved back home, did the groundwork, did what I needed to do. Yeah, I did a lot of work. I had to travel down. There's more of a Black community in Dublin. There's more of a creative community hub in Dublin. Also another thing about Belfast is people don't really want to pay you well, but
Right, okay.
like stuff like I think people don't really want to pay that well, and people like to stick with who they know. Like the DJs that you see DJing in the clubs, they've probably been DJing there for a good 20 years, and that's not even me exaggerating. Like it's rare you'll find a young DJ in the club. So I was going down to Dublin a lot. So I was doing a lot of miles, like driving 2 hours down, sometimes driving back up 3 a.m, putting in that groundwork. Also starting to share little increments on social media about my DJing journey. I didn't want it to be just a hard transition. I wanted it to kind of be like a little soft transition. Because like I'm used to content, as I said earlier, like I played to my strengths. What was my strengths? I had an online community, so I was like, what am I good at? Content. What should I start making content about? DJing. And then that should be able to, that should help. And it did. It's not like it wasn't the bees all ends all, but it definitely helped. So laying in that groundwork, and then it was last year, like before Christmas, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to like I'm a professional DJ. Like I've been doing this. I've been consistent with it, and I've been I think I was like, I think it's time. I think I'm ready to move to London. And sure enough, I did. And when I moved back, I moved last February, and things have been things have been good. And it's still a journey. It's still a process. Like maybe we should have this conversation in like 4 years time. And like,
Well,
it'll be like,
put it in the diary. We'll put it in the
yeah.
diary.
But it's definitely, I still had challenges coming to London. Like, don't get me wrong. But even now I'm able to like look back on like a year later and be like, wow, I can't believe like I was able to what I accomplished in a year, like I don't think is normal, but I really think like I was really working. So
Yeah, no. And that probably makes it even more fulfilling now when you walk into a room and you do say those words like,
yeah,
"Hey, Angel, I'm Angel, I'm a DJ." Like
yeah,
that's got to feel like pretty class, really, for you to be able to. Because I guess you probably think back to those, all the decisions that have got you to this point, to the moving back home, to the journeys down to Dublin, to playing those gigs that probably you maybe didn't want to play, to then deciding to come back, and now you
yeah,
can do it because you've been
yeah,
true to yourself, and you can walk in the rooms and just say, "Hey, I'm Angel, I'm a DJ." That's got to
yeah.
feel amazing.
Like looking back, one thing I say about me is if I say I'm going to do something,
You do
I'm
it,
going to do it.
yeah,
And I've built that trust within myself, which is how I felt secure enough to even pursue DJing, because I knew I had to take a step back from the work I was currently doing to be able to kind of to I think I've mastered the art of learning how to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward, you know?
yeah.
Like, what is it? 1 step back, 2 steps? 1 step back, 2 steps forward.
You're going
Whatever,
back to go
whatever.
forward,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know, I understand the importance of, okay, like sometimes, like, yeah, go back to go
Chill,
forward.
chill, yeah.
And I know even if I find myself in like a low period, I really know it's not going to last forever. And everything is story building too. So it's like when I'm saying people used to clown me for the controller, in them moments, it did not feel good. Like, but now I'm able to look back and be like, yeah, it was a point in time in my journey. And I had like a really nice moment with my friend. We don't really keep in touch as much since I moved out, but like here and there we still see each other on social media and stuff. But I can't remember what it was, but I did something big in December. I can't remember what it was, but it's obviously something DJ related, and I was posting about it on my stories. And she said, oh no, I launched my first like events. That was like my first events thing. And she surprised me. So she turned up, and I hadn't seen her since I had moved out in um that summer.
Yeah.
And she came, and then because I was working and everything, I had to handle all the logistics and I was all over the place. Like, I didn't really have that much time to talk to her, but she sent me a message the next day, a little voice note, and she was like, Angel, like, you will always continue to inspire me. Like, she'd be saying, like, I remember whenever we would have these conversations in the kitchen, and she said, and you're really doing everything that you said you were going to do. And like, I'm just so proud of you. And it's really, really inspiring. And mind you, she's like 8 years older than me. Like, so it's like really like not yet. She's maybe, I hope she's not listening to this. I think she's like, she's like, don't put years on me, girl. But yeah, that was really affirming and really like it made me put fuel in my backpack to keep going.
It's
And
different,
yeah, I
doesn't
just
it?
like,
When it's
yeah,
somebody like that as well that you've spoken to in the past about what you want to do, and then they are seeing the thing that you are doing. You're like, that's pretty sick. And I
yeah,
think it's probably a good way to transition onto kind of the wellness side of what you do, and that's that sort of side of things. And I think kind of referencing back again to what we had talked about before when you were a kid and you were like almost trying to change yourself to fit in. Now you're almost, you're trying to be the best version of yourself in the wellness space to be the most you that you can be.
yeah.
And like that is such a transition. When did sort of an interest in wellness begin to grow, do you think?
I think we could probably take it back to whenever I said I grew up very sporty. So I was doing a lot of sports in school. I said about me waking up early morning swim practice, and then I'd have lunchtime hockey practice, like strength and conditioning. And then I'd have after school netball, after school hockey. Like sometimes I was training like sometimes three times a day. And then in the summer you have track. So when hockey season is finished, it's track season. I would be doing 3 events. I did the hurdles, 100-meter hurdles. I did triple jump. I did shot put. So I was doing a lot growing up. But I wouldn't say that's wellness. I would just say that's me being sporty and
yeah.
fit. Like I wouldn't call that wellness. I would just call that like, I don't know,
Just
fitness, I guess.
athletic, right? Yeah, just
Athleticism.
athletics. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that.
But it's still part of who I am. Like I still, under the umbrella of wellness, it's still very important for me to be athletic and for me to
Yeah.
be fit and healthy and everything. So, but touching on that, I'd say it wasn't wellness, but it was still a space where I felt like I didn't have to perform mentally. And in a weird way, I don't know why. I didn't know why for a long time, but I think recently I figured it out. And I think it's because growing up, like sporty and growing up as a Black girl, when I did associate being Black with something positive, it was whenever we used to watch the Olympics. So like if we were watching like the 100-meter sprints, we'd see the lineup and then I'd see like a lot of Black women. And like, I don't know, I think the association was always like
100%.
Black people are super athletic. So even like in school, it's so random. I was very fast, like played netball and everything. And like my teachers knew I was quick, but I never was a part of a hockey club. And hockey was kind of like, field hockey was a big sport in my school. And I was never part of a hockey club. So I was never like that good skills wise with hockey, apart from when I was playing it for like games, like school PE. And you had like the A's, B's, C's, and D's. And I think I was on like the C's. And just one year, my teachers just jumped me to the A's. And there was a lot of uproar from the girls in the B's. Like, Angel doesn't even go to, well, there's the local like hockey club Harlequins. Like, Angel doesn't even go to Harlequins. Angel doesn't, I don't even know how to hit. And the teachers took me out, like took me to the side for like a whole, like we had this thing called games, which was like 2 periods, the last 2 periods of school, like every Wednesday or something. And you do your games and ours was hockey. And the teachers just took me to the side. One of them just took me to the side. And for the whole time, they taught me how to hit. And I know at the time, I did not know why. I'm like, why am I here? Something I could do very well is get the ball from one end of the pitch to the other end of the pitch very, very quick. Very, very quickly. So they said, Angel will be good for that. And I'm like, yeah. So I had a lot of like, there was a lot of validation athletically with me. So but yeah, and then, you know, to wrap that part up, I got it from A to B very quick, but I still never got good at shooting. So I would get down there and panic and look around and be like, can someone take this? Like,
I've done my bit. I've done my
part. I've done my part. But yeah, I remember like a lot of people I went to school with, like a lot of the girls were like, they weren't happy with that. But I'm just like, they probably thought like it's in my genes. I probably have like, she's probably capable of, we can condition her a bit. But yeah, that was a space where I felt like I didn't need to perform. I felt like I deserved to be there. I felt like I deserved to exist in that space, because I was like, yeah, I'm a Black girl. Of course I'm athletic. Of course I can do this and do that. I don't know how that translates, but that's just me giving my like honest,
no, 100%.
my honest like insight into my thoughts at that time. But then growing up, obviously, I went to uni, still played netball and hockey. But then once I like, it's not to the same level as I did when I was younger. So and I wasn't playing any other sports. And if I was going to hockey and netball practice, it was like once or twice a week. So I had to learn very quickly to like work out like under the, like when I was younger, I used to associate running with training. Like I never would just run to run. There was always a purpose for a run. If it was like, if we were doing coat hangers on the hockey pitch, if we were doing interval like runs and like shuttle runs and things like that, there was always a purpose. And the minute that I had to start running just to run, I was like, what is this? What do I get out of this? Where's the medal? What's the purpose? I was really looking around, like what really is the purpose of this? And I guess that's whenever I made the switch to, oh, I'm actually just doing this because to keep me well. Like I'm actually just doing this to ground me. And like human beings, I grew up exercising because for sports and for that. But once I reached a certain age, I was like, oh wait, we actually all should be looking after our bodies and moving our bodies. And making that transition was very difficult. And it's even still something that I think I still do struggle with a little bit, which is why I like doing the park runs now, because I actually got like a little medal for it. But I'm trying not to like go into that toxic mindset. But yeah, I think making that transition into, no, I'm really just running just to run. It's good for my heart. It's good for it's just good for my general well-being. It's good for my anxiety. It's good, like, just my mental health, helps keep me grounded. I also used to do a lot of cold water swimming as well, which is what one of my friends back home, she introduced me to that. But now that I'm in London, I don't really have the beach
Yeah, there's
20
not.
minutes away from me. So I could go down to Brighton. I think I might try that out at some point, but I've been here for a year now and I haven't made that effort.
Yeah,
But
you're like, I'm going to do it. I will do it. I will do it.
even when I moved, I brought all my stuff with me, so I had no excuse, and I still have not. And like, but yeah, I think even navigating wellness became even more of an importance through navigating my journey as a creative as well, because it's not linear. There's a lot of ups and downs. So I had to figure out very quickly, okay, what's something that can help ground me during, like, throughout this journey. And I'd say like working out is definitely like key. I've been quite like sick recently. Like I need to rephrase that because that sounds more intense. Had like a bad cold from like Sunday to Wednesday, and I was like bed bound and I couldn't really do anything. And I haven't been able to, like, obviously I was injured too. I haven't really been able to run. So the past like couple of weeks, I've barely done anything. And I notice it. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
I feel it show up in my body. I've been more anxious like the past few days. But I know once I get back into that routine, I'm going to be more regulated, grounded again. But it's not until you kind of have moments like that. It was like injury. I hated being injured when I was younger. Like, it was the worst. I tore my LCL when I was like 16, and I had to take like 6 months out, and it sucked. And like, it was just like crazy. And I always thought injuries were like such a depressing time, but everything's seasonal though. I always say like we have seasons to kind of pour into certain things. So I probably learned something else during them 6 months that I had to take out. But even when I'm sick, or the past couple weeks, I haven't been doing much, and it's just really shown up, and I'm just like itching to kind of get back into it. But yeah,
I think it's
wellness
just
is
important to remind yourself, isn't it? And I always find that, like, if you're forced to stop or change your routine for some reason, it's like reminding yourself that actually when you start to feel a bit odd, like sort of demotivated or your levels off, like reminding yourself there's a reason why that is the case.
yeah,
Like, and you need to get back into that thing that helps you like level out pretty quick,
yeah.
which I think it's amazing that, you know, because I definitely use it for the same situation as evidently you do, just to kind of just keep, I don't know how to
Regulate.
keep regulated. That's
Yeah.
definitely the right word. Yeah,
Grounded.
to keep
Yeah.
regulated. Let's wrap up, Angel, because I wanted to just touch on this very briefly. Like, I was on your Instagram before this conversation, just having a little look at some of the stuff you've done recently, and something popped out to me that was, you know, that I'm sure lots of people have seen, but like recently been featured in the paper back home and stuff like that. And throughout this conversation, we've kind of spoke about like what that period of time getting brought up where you got brought up and like how that made you feel. Now getting recognized in the same sort of place, like
Yeah.
for what you've done and who you are and the things that you've said and the actions that you've caused and the conversations that have been started because of you, like, yeah, we'll wrap it up by me just asking, like, what is that like? Because that
It is
must
a bit
be odd.
surreal. Like, it is a bit odd, but it's a bit surreal, and it's a bit like, I take it with a pinch of salt weirdly, because I'm just like, this wasn't an environment that nurtured me. So whenever I'm like, I hear my name in certain places and things like that, I'm just like, it's like, I remember my little sister, she goes to the same school that I went to growing up, and she says teachers would talk about me, they know what I'm doing and everything. And she's like, yeah, such and such said this about you. And I'm like, well, they weren't very nice to me in school. So it's like teachers that were not treating me well, be like, yeah, your sister's doing great things. I'm like, no, thanks to you. Like, I remember even in school, we had a careers advisor, and you would basically share all your strengths and things that you're good at, and and you'd put together your personal statement for when you go to university. And I remember she looked at everything I did and she said, And I quote, "Oh, you're a real jack of all trades, master of none, aren't you?" And to this day, that continues to ring in my brain, which shows you a lot about how like teachers, how much like of an effect that like the stuff that teachers say to you like can have on you. Because like I haven't been to school since like 2018, and I think about that quite often. But then anytime I tell people that, they're like, "Oh, there's the full quote: Jack of all trades, master of none, still always better than a master of one." So I try to finish it in my brain. Anytime that rings up, I try to finish the rest of it. Because I am a bit of a jack of all trades. I do quite a lot. But yeah, it's a bit surreal, a bit weird. Again, it's nice. It's weird to know people are watching, but it's nice to know people are watching, because if I like, as I said, you can't be what you can't see. And when I look at that newspaper, and even if it's just on social media, and I see a little black girl growing up in Belfast who maybe wants to pursue a career in entertainment, music, DJing, and she sees me in the paper, I know if that was me, I'd go, I can do that too.